Hey, what's going on, everybody? As you may have heard, several states have come out and they have created new abortion legislation. And the goal is to actually challenge the Roe v. Wade decision. Alabama has recently enacted new legislation, and basically, the legislation pretty much prohibits abortion and it adds a criminal element to any doctors who or any person who assists or who orchestrates or attempts to orchestrate an abortion. So I wanted to have a quick review to look at the legislation that basically stops abortion in Alabama, and it's probably going to be the legislation that's going to cause the challenge of Roe v. Wade. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so here we go. I have in front of me the actual Alabama act or statute that basically makes abortion illegal in the state of Alabama. Now, it's basically known as HB 314, or at least it's called HB 314. I believe I have the most recent copy, but I'm not a professional litigator. I'm not a politician. I just grabbed this thing off the internet, so who knows what you're actually getting. At any rate, I'm going to go through this, but I'm going to try to cut out certain parts to make this video quicker and reduce the time on the video. So basically, this section is a section that lists the legislators involved. So I'm just going to skip this. And the synopsis is that basically this bill is going to make abortion or an attempted abortion a felony offense, except in cases where the abortion is necessary in order to prevent a serious health risk to the unborn child's mother. This bill will provide that a woman who receives an abortion will not be held criminally culpable or civilly liable for receiving the abortion. So this is a pretty significant section because basically it's saying that if you're a woman and you go to someone in an attempt to get an abortion, you're not going to be faced with criminal charges and you're not going to be fined for that attempt. But, the undertone, and as you'll see later in this statute or this act, is that the person who actually performed this abortion or attempt to perform an abortion will actually face criminal charges and probably fees and fines. Now, I thought this was significant because a lot of people may be reading things on the internet and they'll just get like maybe a small little clip, or they may see a news flash and they'll think that women are liable for an abortion, and that's really not the case. It's the person who actually performs the abortion or attempts to perform it, the abortion. Now, if you happen to be a woman and you attempt to perform an abortion on another woman, then of course you're going to be liable, right? So I'm going to skip this section too. This section here basically deals with the appropriation of funds for organizations that want to sponsor abortions or want to help out people who want to have abortions. And it's actually going to be referred to later in this document. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip it. Right. So we're just going to skip that entire section and we'll just start here. A bill to be entitled an act relating to abortion to make abortion and attempted abortion a felony offense except in cases where abortion is necessary in order to prevent a serious health risk to the unborn child's mother. To provide that a woman who receives an abortion will not be held criminally culpable or civilly liable for receiving the abortion, and in connection therein would have its purpose or effect the requirement of a new or increased expenditure of local funds within the meaning of the Amendment 621 of the Constitution of Alabama of 1901, now appearing as Section 111.05 of the official recompilation of the Constitution of Alabama of 1901, as amended. Section 1. This act shall be known as the Alabama Human Life Protection Act. Section 2. Legislative findings. The state statute criminalizing abortion, Section 13A 13 7, Code of Alabama 1975, has never been repealed. It has remained unenforceable as a result of the U.S. Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade 410 U.S. 113 1973 and its progeny, which struck down as unconstitutional a Texas statute criminalizing abortion which effectively repealed by implication and made unenforceable all other state statutes criminalizing abortion. So essentially, it's just saying that Roe v. Wade basically killed all state legislation for prohibiting abortion. So, from reading this, it looks like they're mounting a new attack on Roe v. Wade, just by the way this thing reads. On November 6, 2018, electors in this state approved by a majority vote a constitutional amendment to the Constitution of Alabama of 1901, declaring and affirming the public policy of the state to recognize and support the sanctity of unborn life and the rights of unborn children. The amendment made it clear that the Constitution of Alabama of 1901 does not include the right to an abortion or require funding of abortion using public funds. So basically, this section is just saying that their constitution makes it clear that you don't have a right to an abortion and you don't have a right to public funds from you don't have a right to public funds to fund your abortion. See, in present state law, section 13A 6-1 Code of Alabama 1975 defines a person for homicide purpose to include an unborn child in utero at any stage of development, regardless of viability. The United States Declaration of Independence, the principles of natural law that all men are created equal, was articulated. The self-evident truth found in natural law that all human beings are equal from creation was at least one of the bases for the anti-slavery movement, the women's suffrage movement, the Nuremberg war crimes, I don't even know what that is, the American Civil Rights Movement. If those movements have not been able to appeal to the truth of universal human equality, they could not have been successful. Abortion advocates speak to women's rights, but they ignore the unborn child, while medical science has increasingly recognized the humanity of the unborn child. Recent medical advances prove that a baby's heart starts to beat at around 6 weeks. At about 8 weeks, the heartbeat can be heard through ultrasound examinations. A fetal Doppler, I don't know what that is, can detect a fetal heartbeat as early as 10 weeks. Ultrasound imaging shows the developing child in utero. As early as 6 weeks after fertilization, a fetal photography shows that a clear development of a human being. The Alabama Department of Public Health publication, Did You Know, demonstrates through actual pictures at 2-week intervals throughout the entire pregnancy the clear images of a developing human being. It is estimated that 6 million Jewish people were murdered in German concentration camps during World War II. 3 million people were executed by Joseph Stalin's regime in the Soviet gulags. 2,500,000 people were murdered during the Chinese Great Leap Forward in 1958. 1.5 million to 3 million people were murdered in the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia during the 1970s. Approximately 1 million people were murdered during the Rwanda genocide. I actually find it interesting that they don't say how many people died in the events of slavery in the United States, but they did mention slavery, so I'm not going to belabor the point. All of these are widely acknowledged to have been crimes against humanity. By comparison, more than 50 million babies have been aborted in the United States since Roe v. Wade decision in 1973, more than 3 times the number who were killed in the German death camps, Chinese purges, Stalin's gulags, and Cambodian killing fields, and the Rwanda genocide combined. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop this right here, and I'll come back in the next video starting from J. And again, I'm just going to do this just to keep this video short because it looks like we've already passed 8 minutes already. So see you in the next video.